Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Goldstein and Gelt Show. I'm BatSheva Goldstein, and joining me today is Elana Feinsmith. Elana is a CFP, a financial coach and therapist, and she's the perfect guest for Goldstein and Gelt Show because she believes that that good money decisions start with great money conversations. So, Elana and I originally connected on LinkedIn on posts that talked about better financial communication, and I thought her insights were great. So, Elana, thanks for joining us today. For listeners who don't yet know you, can you tell us a little bit about your work?
Sure. Thank you, by the way, for inviting me. So, I am a certified financial therapist in the United States. I work with people all over, and I love helping people get from being avoidant or in sort of a conflict with their money, whether it's individually or as a couple, to a place where they're making decisions with what I'll call their calm adult brain. And the problem is that a lot of times people get stuck in something of they don't even realize from the past, from childhood, from whatever, or a bad cycle with their relationship with money individually and or as a couple. And it's not bringing out their best decision making so they can make the best decisions for their financial future. And so I'm one of the few financial therapists in the United States. By the way, it's a new field. If you haven't heard about it, it was only founded in 2008. Who has a CFP. So I don't do any money management. I do encourage people to have different other people on their team to do the money management and the financial planning type thing. But when there are questions about it, I can go and say, okay, go back and come up with good questions to ask the different people on the team. So I'm a member of the team that really helps people think through the big picture and make changes using financial
Mhm.
therapy.
So, the big picture often starts with the past, and the past often starts with something invisible. So, there's this phrase called scripts. Um, how do you see money scripts showing up with the people you work with? And even before you answer that, do you want to let our listeners know what a money script is?
Sure. Thank you for asking. Yeah, a money script is something that you subconsciously tell yourself about money. Some people have money scripts such as, I don't deserve money when other people have less money than I have. They have a money script that money is meant to be saved. These are examples of some money scripts. In the United States, we have money scripts even as a culture that is, you shouldn't talk about money. Like it would be very rude in the States to ask someone how much money they make or how much money they have. And so these are all sort of subconscious rules that come in individually and as a society and as a family and even as culture, depending on which culture you come from or background you come from. And it's helpful to come in and look and see what are the money scripts that are going on within yourself, if you're married, with your significant other or your parents, and their intergenerational money scripts too, as we can see. You remember people who were in the Great Depression, the grandparents or my grandparents kind of thing, what the money is spent on, or sometimes hoarding things. Money, the way we act with money makes a difference by those type of rules. And we can see that also even in the Sephardic versus the Ashkenazi community, where the Sephardic community, the way certain events are done may have more spending or more different ways of doing it than Ashkenazi. So there are different twists of all of these, but all these are subconscious things often that are in us. And when we have conflict, like when a couple has conflict, oftentimes it's the money scripts, if it's a money conflict, that one
So,
has a
mhm,
money script that is the money top money scripts are different.
right. Everyone's money story is different from anyone else's because of who they are and how they grew up. So, what advice do you give to people when they realize that their money script isn't the same as their spouse's?
Yeah, and so it's something we work on in financial therapy also, just as a couple, but looking in first of all is acknowledging and saying, okay, so I see, let's say person A is running a money script that we need to save this money, and person B is like, well, I'm living now. I really want this now. And it starts by acknowledging and saying, we have these different money scripts, that we have these different values. One may value and it going on a trip, the other may value going buying a new sofa. or a new fixing up something in the house for your in-laws to show up or your parents to show up. There's all these different things. So the first thing is just to acknowledge and say, okay, we're different, but then starting the conversation of how can we allocate what we have so we both get our needs met is kind of the way things can work so that you can have the person who feels they need to save can go and save and the person who the other person or whatever gets allocated in a way that feels okay for each of you. And it's not like 100% is going anywhere. It needs to be split up is the best thing to do.
So it's not only asset allocation in terms of investing, it's emotional allocation and value allocation, and determining how couples could understand and value someone else's perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
People often want to talk about these things, but they don't always know where to start. That's one of the reasons why I created financial date discussion cards, but we'll talk about the cards later. But where are some good ways for couples to start broaching this difference in their money stories and the cultural lens that you brought up?
I think maybe just to start by, researching or just being aware kind of and taking that step back as to where are you at and what your parents did or what you saw versus what your in-laws did. If like since we're talking couples here, we're not saying
Hmm.
individuals, but what is it that you've seen in your time, that your family has done? What is it you feel comfortable with? And just started taking kind of to get a picture of what people do and how they do it and how you physically react to it is important. I mean, like for example, in some families your in-laws may want to go out for a very expensive dinner, which may be fine if first of all, if you like expensive dinners, some people don't. But you're sitting there for 2 hours and the whole thing. But then there's the cost at the end, and then is there a need then to have reciprocity? So suddenly you've gone out for a very expensive dinner, and then they're expecting you to do that later, and that doesn't match your values. So understanding that can be very triggering for some people, where like, okay, now I'm expected to go and spend a ton of money on a meal where I would not normally do that. So kind of understanding where in your body that is, what's happening with you physically around these different things and what's going on, in the world as to how everybody does the different things in your family, different than probably how your in-laws did it, even if everybody's Ashkenazi, everyone's Sephardic, everyone's from the same country, all of these things, we're just all different. We're not the same, even with the same
Yeah.
labels.
It's interesting how you mentioned that you should feel the difference in your body and the physical difference, because often people think that money is just numbers or spreadsheets. And then there's the whole behavior finance part and talking about the emotional aspect, the money stories behind it. But now you're taking that even a step further and talking about the the physicality of how you feel about money.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really important because what is coming in our bodies, how we're reacting, the fight and flight, all these other pieces, we feel that in our body and we feel that stress. And let's face it, if you're Ashkenazi, there may be intergenerational trauma from, ancestors having left businesses and all these other things, having run away. And that's in the body too. Like there's all these pieces that are happening. So when something goes wrong and something's lost, we just trying to get them aware of what's getting triggered in your body. Ideally, sort of could be in the head, but it could also just be below the head. I think there's a lot of intellectualism that happens the head, and yet there's the rest of the body that may be calling out and going, oh, when I think about this thing that happened, my stomach hurts, or I have, these other pieces, and just trying to work on it, being aware of that. 90% of financial decisions are emotional. And it's an interesting thing because many people go, oh no, no, they're not emotional. So actually they are, whether you're choosing to buy X or Y. It's like you're going through your own set of criteria as to why you're doing that. And anyone else who's next to you would probably choose something. It's not going to make the exact same change. Just like our thumbprints, our fingerprints are different. We're all
Mhm.
unique. And we're unique in this moment, the sort of this holiness of the moment of what we're choosing to.
Right. It sounds to me as if you're saying that we really need to focus on our emotions when making financial decisions, and not only our emotions, but our partner's emotions. Um, am I getting you right?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yes, definitely. We need to
Mm,
focus on the emotions and be kind to ourselves and to our significant others too, because there can be triggering. There's all sorts of things that goes in, and trying to create this safe space to talk about what it is that you want to accomplish for your future self. So like we would go into the back, part of financial therapy is going to the past, looking at the
mhm,
future, but look at the present and then going to the future. So what decisions can you or you and your spouse make today that are going to make your future self, your future children, your future grandchildren, like that is going to make that all work for you and for all of them. I think we have many people have a fantasy of like, oh, if I only won the lottery or, somehow all this money came in. But even if that happened, there are skills that you need to work on to be able to manage that money, to understand how to manage that for the future, which is why many people, if they win the lottery, it's gone or sudden money things come in.
mhm,
Unless you work on it, the money tends to be, people really want to spend $1 million instead of being a millionaire.
mhm.
Like they're two different things.
Yes, it's hard to spend $1 million and be a millionaire at the same time. Um, what type of skills do you work on with people to help them bridge these gaps?
So I don't know. So I don't often think of it as skills. So that's just a different wording of that.
Hmm.
What I usually do is I start with people in the first session, like for example, I start with a picture of nature to get to be calming. Like here's Lake Kinneret kind of thing. And it'd be like, okay, so what comes to mind? How are you feeling as you're looking at this?
Hmm.
As you calm down, as the calming with that of the brain. And, I don't know if you have anything you'd say per se, but, you know, how you
Take
feel
a
as
deep breath and exhale, and watch your breath go across the field there.
there we go. Yeah. So exactly how it comes, if you feel that
Hmm.
release as it comes in, and some people will say peaceful or calm or whatever the
Hmm.
feelings are. So I start the first sessions with that. I'll do a grounding meditation, often with people again to sort of try to let go of what's around. Sometimes we'll go in the grounding meditation to a favorite location and then ask the divine energy around us to make this the session for their highest and best good. And then we go from there and we see what's coming up for them. I have a variety of tools that I use. So it's everything from the money script questionnaire. People write out a financial coaching questionnaire. What do you want to accomplish by doing financial therapy? Many people want to, for example, come up with a spending plan. I don't like the word budget. They're like, and we want to create that spending plan with items that give you green light energy, that are what is it that really makes you feel good? So if you love a certain kind of food or a certain type of clothing, whatever it is that's your thing, someone loves to golf, whatever it is, let's build that in so that you're getting what it is you want, clothing, all these different things. But if you set it up so you have an amount set for it, then you can then decide what happens if you go out of that. And especially, if we look at for couples of saying, hey, let's come up with a plan. And then if we're not going outside of that, if you want to go outside of that, we have a conversation about it. So that there's something that you don't have to go and say, every time you run, I'm in the States, every time you go to Target
Hmm.
or whatever, you don't have to go, oh, do you mind if I buy
Yeah.
diapers or, whatever, like you don't want to be dealing with, and you walk into Target in the States,
Hmm.
you spend $150. It's pretty hard not to. Costco's worse.
Yes.
But, but I'm sure there are equivalents, and I assume there are
Hmm.
equivalents in this world where you can walk in the store, and I haven't sort of done my
Yeah.
shopping. When I visit, I don't usually go shopping, doing things. But
It's
yeah,
hard
yeah,
to
but
spend a lot in Machane Yehuda.
so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So anyhow, looking at these things of saying, okay, if it's within the norm, what does
Mhm.
that look like? What does that
I
look like?
love calling it a spending plan and not a budget because it just has a lot of people look at the word budget as restrictive and not freedom, but spending plan just feels more free that you're planning how you're going to spend and you're being intentional. Um, so having something tangible could really help people start talking. So
Exactly.
you have your meditations and your images.
Yeah, and all sorts of tools along the way, kind of like a
Mhm.
surgeon has a bunch of tools that they use for different other things. I pull out the right tool, the right
Mhm.
exercise, the right other piece. I have a Google sheet that just keeps track of just what someone's net worth is and what their income and
Mhm.
expenses are on the gross on the big level, like simple, and then we can go into the spending plan. And the important part of that is the emotions around it. Because some people, it's really hard to even put your numbers in to say, okay, what is my net worth? Just a
Right.
simple piece. And it feels
Mhm.
like, if for those who are in the financial field, you're like, oh, yeah, it's easy. Come and just throw it all in and let's talk about numbers. But it's like undressing. Like there's a lot of feeling behind it. So I don't start with people with say, show me your numbers. It can be a few sessions in. And so when they're ready to show me the numbers and they feel comfortable
Mhm.
and they feel safe, then we start talking about numbers. But there's all sorts of things, such as one of my favorite things is the genogram, which is writing out the family tree around money for both
Oh,
the
wow.
couple, for both the husband and for the wife.
Mhm.
And by the time you put in there, what happened intergenerationally that, and you get the stories out. So like I don't know if if I do two siblings, they're going to be different. Even though the family members are the same, they will have picked up different stories from their ancestral
Mhm.
parts that came through, and also putting in there if there's other people, aunts, uncles, neighbors who had impact
Mhm.
on them, on the person, because sometimes we have non-biological
Mhm.
parents that really have impact on who a person is and their relationship with money.
So all these tools that you use help money conversations become physical. But because when people could see or hold something that reflects their experience, it becomes more real and it helps them integrate that into their life and to become more intentional about why they do things certain ways.
Absolutely. And to understand their
Hmm.
values, what they value, what's most important
Hmm.
to them. I mean, and you look at, it's really important to have things, I think, in the physical world, because a lot of when we're spending our money, it translates to things in the physical world. For example, I know somehow Passover came up to mind, but it's like that's a long time from now.
Hmm.
But Passover, how much are you going to spend on your Seder? What are you going to do for doing all of for that? What's the right thing? Or if you have a bar, bat mitzvah, or a wedding, what are we using that money? The money is only something to be used. It's a tool like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build a table, a beautiful table, or you could use a hammer to break a window. What are you going to use that money for? That's
Right.
the thing. And so money translates to the physical world, this sort of invisible thing. You try to tell a kid what money is, especially in this day and age when all these things are being sent by apps and things like that,
Hmm.
versus like there's not as much with actually having a
Right.
dollar or a shekel, or it's not like people are saying that.
It's funny that you mention apps because that's one of the reasons why the financial date discussion cards are that they're cards. They're something physical, so people could hold on to it and be grounded in the present and not just be swiping on their phone. Because
Absolutely. I have my cards right here, actually. I love them. And I bring them
yay.
up when I talk to people because I just think they're so great.
I'm so happy to hear that because they the purpose behind the cards were to help couples align themselves and understand different money stories and
Yeah.
use that understanding of their past to help their present and their future, which is exactly what you do. So in the last few minutes that we have, can you just give our listeners a way that they could follow you and your work? And we'll put this in the show notes so they have a way to get in touch with you.
Sure. So you can reach me. My website is called Oak Financial Coaching, and on there you can email me through that site. I'm happy to send you the money scripts questionnaire. If you send me an email through there, that would work. My email is Elana, Elana, at Feinsmith.com. That's F as in Frank, EIN Smith.com. And I am doing a webinar, actually. I do webinars every so often about financial therapy if you'd like to learn more. So when you send me the email, I can add you to the invite list for that. And yeah, that's how you can meet me. And if you're interested in financial therapy, like set up a time, pick a time on Calendly on my website for us to meet. And
Mhm.
if there isn't a time that works, send me an email and I'll see if I can fit you in another time. It's a bit the challenge with the time difference is it's probably going to be the evening in Israel if you're in Israel, because I'm on Pacific time. kind of far away.
Well, I hope that all of our listeners flood your inbox with emails because this was such a great, engaging conversation. So thank
Yeah,
you,
and I want
Elana,
one more
for
thing.
joining us.
I truly, really like the date discussion cards. So if you don't have them, I'm putting a little ad in there. Like
Thank you.
they are really great. And my husband and I have been married for 32 years. Actually had a bit of a okay, have discussions. We had an argument about something, and I pulled the cards out, and we did like five of the cards, and it just really brought us together around our money. And I think there's a real beauty to these open-ended questions, and that they are physical and they're not on the phone. It's not like, oh, someone has just texted you or you ping your
Hmm.
WhatsApp or whatever. And the associations we have with the phones too, those in Israel where you're getting the
Hmm.
sirens going off. This is a card, and you could actually do them. Hopefully, you won't be in any bomb shelters, but you could do them anywhere. Like you can do them anywhere. You can do them on
Hmm.
Shabbat. So anyhow, that's my little of issue. I was not endorsed. I just threw that
I
out there.
had
I don't
someone
know.
who told me that they had a 14-hour car ride and she and her boyfriend were asking questions back and forth. So I'm glad that at the end of the car
Brilliant.
ride they were still together.
They're doing something right there. But that's the thing, creating most of
Yeah,
the people who hire, many of the people hire me for financial therapy. It's creating the space to have open conversations that feel safe about money. And that's what we're doing is creating the space to open and start the conversation. And that's one of the things that's really nice about the cards too, is that they're really good open-ended questions. And then you're suddenly creating the space and you don't need a huge amount of time to do that because small amounts of time, if you're together, you're connected, that can really do a lot in the small amounts of time too.
that sounds great. So I'm glad we were able to spend a small amount of time together in this space of the Goldstein and Gelt show. And thank you and tune in next time.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.